Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. This is a brand new Tanjiro What If. What if Tanjiro had destruction breathing, part 1 of 2. And as always, if you enjoy, make sure to show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And I don't want to waste much more of your time. Make sure to check the links in the description for the Discord, the Spotify, the membership, all that stuff. And yes, I do plan on doing a Now Fumi What If. I didn't have enough time to fully set up everything I wanted to set up. I wanted to get like all the notes down for what I wanted to do for Now Fumi What Ifs and make sure I got all the events properly set up. And yeah, so that's what I was getting set up. I'm not quite done just yet, but I am getting there, and I'm going to be ready pretty soon. So hopefully by at least bare minimum the beginning of next month. Now, with all that said, I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into it. So let's get it. Tanjiro Kamado is brought into this world, and on top of that, he has to deal with, well, let's just say a traditional lifestyle. A traditional lifestyle in this world is kind of helping your family out where you can, living in a very kind of simple way, but he always tries to go up and beyond what he normally would do. But when he was young, at a young age, he would read these books about this so-called god that once existed. This deity, you could call it, that existed that really counterbalanced the idea of creation and destruction. There was two different gods, some of creation and some, or one, of destruction. And that god's, well, whole purpose was to do one thing, to counterbalance the act of creation and make sure that there isn't more creation than destruction. And this balance was something that Tanjiro basically read about quite a bit through various different books, various different kind of different passages and stuff like that. Nothing he really understood, even to an extent he thought it was made up, but one day when things would start to crumble, he would start realizing that it's not actually made up. Because Tanjiro, well, himself would actually seek out to help his family outside of his home, which he would head off to a village, sell some coal, but when he would come back, he would see that his whole family was torn to shreds. His whole family was destroyed. And as this happens, as this occurs, he would begin to go through his own head. What does he do? What's going on? Surely he has to be able to save someone here. Maybe someone's alive still. And then he hears a breath from his little sister, Nezuko. He picks her up, runs her off, and before you know it, she would wake back up as a demon and attack him. And yes, before you know it as well, Giyu Tomioka would come out of nowhere to help him as well. But here's the thing. His sister, being a demon, Giyu wants to just end the fight right then and there. But Tanjiro tells him that his sister, please don't do this, and blah, 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 all this stuff. And eventually, well, he would decide to actually allow Tanjiro to not lose his sister. But the way he does it is in a different way. He would have Tanjiro race toward him, trying to stop him, as Tanjiro would set up an attack where the hatchet that he had would get thrown into the air. And, well, he wouldn't even notice it, or Giyu wouldn't notice it until last second, dodging the axe. And as the hatchet would hit the tree behind him, the tree itself would disintegrate. And this would shock Giyu to his core, making him wonder what and who this person truly is. Who or what can Tanjiro Kamado really do? Because this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense that he's able to actually do this. It doesn't make sense that he's able to create something of such crazy kind of event that would lead to him, or lead to literally destroying, or lead to basically destroying an entire tree in a matter of a split second. And this would shock him. He would lose it. He would be thinking, this is ridiculous. This is insane. This doesn't even make sense. Like, seriously, how did he do this? in which, of course, Tanjiro doesn't even really know. He's out cold, actually, for the moment, eventually leading him to actually being kind of, awakened next to Giyu and his own sister. And, of course, Tanjiro would kind of get this chance to ask him what's going on, what's happening, and all this other stuff. And Giyu Tomioka basically tells him that if he wants to keep his sister safe and all this stuff, he needs to go train with the power that he just portrayed and showed, in which Tanjiro has no idea what he's talking about. And he tells Tanjiro exactly what happened, about what occurred, and how the tree itself just disintegrated into nothingness. And this would shock Tanjiro, but he would think about it, and think about it really, really, really closely. Then he would realize it's so similar to that thing he was reading, to those stories, those legends of something known as the god of destruction. He doesn't know how it's happening or what's going on, but he realizes that it must be kind of put together through the usage of loss. And he lost his family except for Nezuko, and maybe the combination of quote unquote destruction or loss, including with the creation, the act of creation, with a literal demon being created, allowed him to awaken the powers that were within, the powers that he had that nobody, not even himself, truly knew about. And eventually Tanjiro would hold on to this idea closely and take Nezuko to this nearby mountain in search of Urokodaki, because the whole plan for Giyu Tomioka is to send Tanjiro off to actually train with his former master. Before you know it, though, he would encounter a temple demon. But as Tanjiro and Nezuko would be facing off with this demon, they would have a very easy time, for the most part, keeping up, leading to Tanjiro actually landing a hit. And as he lands this hit, it actually disintegrates the part of the body that the demon, or that the axe or the hatchet actually hits, in which Urokodaki is watching from afar, wondering and thinking what this kid is really all about. He got a message from Giyu Tomioka, and he was told something similar about this weird, odd, and interesting power that he's able to use. But the fact that he's utilizing it in such a way, he doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand that he's able, or how he's able to do such an amazing thing, or to the level that he's truly doing it. But still, not Izuku, my apologies, Urokodaki would be watching Tanjiro, as Tanjiro would even defeat the demon, and Urokodaki would come out of nowhere to tell him that it's time for them to truly start his training, because it's obvious that his preparation, or whatever he did to prepare, has put him ahead of the curve. In which right there, that is the complete and utter truth. But when Tanjiro starts actually trying to learn water breathing, soon it's pretty obvious that there's nothing for him to learn. At least in terms of he's not actually able to utilize water breathing at all. It's a completely different style, but he tells Tanjiro to focus solely on destruction, to really, really absorb within it. Only think about destruction. Don't think about how people are feeling. Don't think how the demons may feel. Don't think about a single thing. Only think of destroy. In which he tells him this is the principle that is known from legends as the Hakai. And he basically explains this to Tanjiro briefly, not really knowing much about it himself, but eventually with all the training, Tanjiro would then unleash his first form, called Ruinous Impact, as he would just charge a slash immediately, a slash that would even send shockwaves from long range that would allow any cuts to begin the process of the Hakai, or the process of disintegration. And as he does this, as he slices and dices toward different boulders, as one slice would cut through, the top and bottom half would slowly disintegrate from the actual point of attack. But all Tanjiro has is that one singular impact. All he has is that one singular form, but frankly, that's all he needs for now. The training would ensue for months on end, and Tanjiro would even actually train with the spirits of Sabito and Makomo. But after all this training is said and done, and after they put a giant boulder in front of him that he cuts through with relative ease, especially with the fact that he could straight up destroy it and disintegrate it if he so chose to do so, he has no issues dealing with it the way he believes he needs to be needs to deal with it. And leading into the final selection, Tanjiro would have very similar things occur. Tanjiro would see very quickly that his level in terms of skill, or at least in terms of power, is far greater than every demon that charges forward at him, and he begins to instill fear in every single one of them. Walking through the forest as the demons would run in his wake, and eventually when he comes across the hand demon, and the hand demon talks all of this trash to him, eventually Tanjiro would be right in front of him, slicing and dicing him in one slice, though, leading to the absolute incineration, or really the disintegration of the demon itself. And the demon is in shock, wondering how this happened. It didn't even feel like he cut off his neck. It felt like he hit him elsewhere, and it still didn't matter, corrupting and hakkaiing his entire body. This would shock him, and he wouldn't even be able to react to it as he's already gone and in the dust. And a lot of these other demon slayers that normally don't pass actually pass because Tanjiro is able to help and slay a large amount of the demons in a very quick succession. Eventually, though, he would be finished off with all of the kind of demons and surviving throughout the final selection. And after it is all said and done, he would head off to basically get his Nichirin ore. And as he goes there, he sees another guy by the name of Genya. And this Genya fellow actually is pretty aggressive and really even starts hurting the kind of instructors for the final exam. And Tanjiro puts this to an end quickly, even breaking the arm of Genya, excuse me. And this is when everyone's like, whoa, this guy means business. And even Kanao is watching this and wonders what he really is capable of, especially when they didn't hear anything about it. They didn't hear not a single thing. They didn't hear a single thing about what occurred, or they didn't hear a single thing about kind of what happened or what's going on and stuff along those lines. They didn't hear anything about who this guy is. Where did he come from? But Tanjiro is making waves already, and Kanao, well, let's just say, sends off information pretty quickly to Shinobu about what this guy, or what this demon slayer potentially can actually do. And this right here is something that needs to be put in the back of their minds, because the fact is, this is not something that is normal. This is not something that every single person can do. And it seems like he continues to develop stuff that many other people just have no clue or how they exactly work. This would eventually lead to Tanjiro, obviously, kind of heading off to his own kind of missions and stuff like that, as he would get a box for Nezuko, and also he would meet with Orokodaki one last time, obviously, going back to Mount Sagiri. After going back there and after getting prepared, eventually he would get his blade and he would embark or disembark from Orokodaki and head off to his first mission. Being that his first mission is to take down the Swamp Demon, a demon that basically continues to kidnap people after people, and mostly women. But when it strikes night, the Swamp Demon would come out of nowhere and try to attack, but before he even lands a blow on Tanjiro would stare at him with his sword ready, and it seems as if the Swamp Demon is stuck, can't move, and doesn't want to move. Whatever he's seeing, whatever he sees here in front of him, and whatever is happening, he doesn't know what's going on. He has no idea, but all he feels is this terrifying feeling. This terrifying feeling that is running through the blood that pumps through his veins. He doesn't know what's going on, but every move that Tanjiro makes, every single step he takes, it seems as if every single one rings out louder and louder. Tanjiro would walk up to him and would slice the head off in one foul swoop, and then would tell the demon that this right here is his end, telling him in one foul swoop that he is gone, and he would disintegrate, destroy, and be destroyed entirely. And Tanjiro would sheath his sword, and he would tell the village that they are now safe. But even the swamp demon didn't know what to do, couldn't even move, couldn't even react, and really, in the face of Tanjiro Kamado, there was no way, there was no chance, there was nothing to be done, and he basically took his own end, just without even any struggle, without even any kind of, without any like pushback, without anything, and he just knew that it was over. Obviously, Tanjiro doesn't know what he was seeing or what was going on, but it seems like it's something they fear so greatly, because it seems as if balance will soon kind of continue forward. And Tanjiro, well, when he heads off to investigate the city that never sleeps, and he would come face to face with Muzan Kibusuji, well, let's just say Muzan's fear could be written all over his face, because he realizes what this is. He can tell that he's a young kid, a young demon slayer that has not mastered his powers and has not really awakened an even greater potential that he has. But he can tell there's something about him. There's an aura about him, an aura that makes it so terrifying, an aura that is even greater than bloodlust itself. He doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know where it came from, but he knows that it stands in front of him, and all he can do is just act as if nothing's happening, and all he can do is just leave. He basically makes a demon show up, or creates a demon out of a human immediately, and gets out of there pretty quickly, as Tanjiro would slice through that said demon, ending it almost instantaneously and being done with it in a matter of one foul swoop. Eventually, a meeting with Lady Tamayao and Yushiro would ensue, and Muzan would send demons after him, Susumaru and Yahaba, to see what level he truly is at, to see if he can really stand up to some demons that are a little bit higher in strength. Now, before they arrive, there's a conversation that is made with Lady Tamayao and Yushiro, and also Tanjiro, about curing Nezuko. But on top of that, there's also a conversation about Tanjiro himself, about his powers, what he can do, and what he's truly capable of. And now the conversation is somewhat short, but Lady Tamayao says through her extensive research, she has heard of something like this, like a phenomenon of some sorts. And this phenomenon is the kind of upbringing of a destructive kind of model, or a destructive kind of person that inhabits the powers of the god of destruction. The idea for a long time was that things would die, things would live, things would come back, and things would die once again. But since Muzan started creating demons, things that would live forever, it seemed to change the balance of things drastically. Yes, did they eat humans? Of course. But there have always been casualties no matter what, even outside when demons never existed in the first place. But at the end of the day, there are not enough casualties to truly make up for the creation of demons, the creation of fiends that live what is forever, well, if they're not careful, if they're not okay. And, well, at the end of the day, it seems as if these creations of demons continues to alter the balance, and Tanjiro is that balance. And Lady Tamayao tells him this, and that is just a theory, but it is a thought that needs to be really taken seriously. And Tanjiro would then hear the two demons, Susumaru and Yahaba, approach from the outside, and it seems like this is more of a test to see if the one and only Tanjiro is that strong and that capable. And before you know it, Muzan would see through the eyes of them what he can truly do, because in one foul swoop, in one kind of slash through, in one singular form that he now has added to his arsenal, well, he would slash on through utilizing his second form called Collapsing Fang. And as he does this, as he strikes through them, kind of like in a spiral-like motion, he would then crush both of the enemies next to each other, and together they would slowly but surely dissipate, and he wouldn't even slash through their necks, as their bodies would dissipate, and soon the destruction and the Hakai would overcome them for the most part, and it would be completely disintegrated. And after all of that, after those two demons tried their best, well, not try hard enough, obviously, to defeat Tanjiro, Muzan now knows that this kid, this person, this demon slayer is someone that needs to be handled, is someone that needs to be ended, but not just yet. Tanjiro would head off on his next mission after getting information from Lady Tamayao about how to cure Nezuko, about what they're going to do, and how he's going to have to kill and get blood from the 12 Kizuki. And as Tanjiro would then leave and meet Zenitsu for the first time, he would yell at him, telling him to get away from the girl, and that they have more to get into and more to finish, because there's more things that need to be handled. And that would include going off to this mansion to help these two little kids find their brother. And when Tanjiro first encounters Kyogai, all he's thinking about in his own head is destroy. Destroy, destroy, destroy. And all he does is focus on that regard. He would immediately slash through, obviously, Kyogai. And as he slashes through him, as he would absolutely obliterate him, Tanjiro would get his opportunity to stab him in the leg and take some of his own blood. And when Inosuke would arrive, Inosuke would be in shock to see that the demon that was here was handled in such a beautiful sequence, but also such a easy sequence. He doesn't understand how, but he tells Tanjiro that they need a fight, that he wants to prove that he's stronger by beating him. And Tanjiro looks at Inosuke, and his look alone makes Inosuke stand down, leading to them running through the rest of the mansion, destroying and killing a lot of these other demons, and eventually leading them to leaving the mansion itself. And Tanjiro would pick up his box before any kind of situation would occur with Inosuke and himself, and he would tell him that they need to protect this box, protect his little sister, and tells them what it is, or what is going on, and who she is, explaining that she is a demon, but she is not like any other demon. And if they have an issue with it, well, then they can take it up with him. In which Tanjiro's aura itself would tell the whole story, as they would see this and they would immediately stand down. They would not think like, you know what, well, yeah, we could take you. No. They would stand down, because Tanjiro himself, he shows like, yeah, this is definitely not your fight, and definitely not your kind of your thing to get into. And he basically shows them like, you better chill out type of moment, especially toward Inosuke. Now, obviously, Zenitsu, he's very tame to the point of like, you know, he's not going to try to kill the demon within the box, but Inosuke initially had intentions to do so. But of course, this would then lead them to actually getting a little bit of downtime, where Tanjiro, all he does is read and try to figure out a little bit more about what he can do and what's really going on. Like, what is happening in terms of kind of what he's capable of and what he can do with his destruction breathing, and how it works to a certain extent. Because this is questions that he really wants to know, questions that he really has been thinking about. Because at the end of the day, He doesn't know that much about it, but he knows that it's powerful, and he knows that he's the one that's supposed to put things back into the balance of the universe. And this would include the getting rid or getting, disintegrating and getting rid of the demons that still are here, the demons that are still awoken. So he wants to make sure that he shuts them down and wants to make sure that these demons are handled to a large degree. And the next day, when they would get another mission, one at a mountain nearby, Natagumo Mountain, this would be his opportunity, his chance to shut down or a high-level demon, in fact. And he could tell there's something about a demon who has large amounts of blood from the source of Muzan. It tells him where he is, as if he's seeking after it. He does leave Zenitsu behind, being that Zenitsu is kind of like, fearful and stuff like that. And he just tells him like, hey, if you're going to come, you're going to come. If you're not, you're not. So I'm going to head up and handle my business. And as he heads up, he could tell, as if he could smell or even sense the the kind of like the person or the demon that is there. He can sense the demon that is really the overarching demon, the one that is actually a part of the 12 Kizuki, and that right there is what Tanjiro is looking for. He would see that there's other demons, demon slayers that may need help, and in one foul swoop, he would handle everything. He would handle the spider kind of woman demon, handling that very quickly. He would handle every other demon that shows up, and even kind of take out help all the demon slayers that are trapped within the webbing. And as all this is handled, and as finally he would get his chance to face off with Rui would stand there, and he could see something. He sees something that isn't supposed to be true. He sees initially the actual kind of the actual memories of Muzan, the memories of Yorichi. But another thing that he sees, another thing that he didn't want to see, was not only the memories of Yorichi, but the memories of an otherworldly being, a being that seems to thrive and want destruction, a being that is built for destruction, a being that seemingly is only focused on that specifically. And that right there is something that is so damn terrifying, leading to Rui unleashing everything at him. Every last little bit, his blood demon art and everything, he would send it all buck wild. And as it would immediately smack against Tanjiro, as it would actually head his way and hit him, Tanjiro could feel it stop at his body and eventually feel it be entirely destroyed. He found another way to utilize his own powers, his own abilities, and one of those ways is to literally enjoy the feat of destruction, to the point where he forces any ability to destroy on him on contact. And this right here is something that is unbelievable, something that, in all honesty, vast amounts of other demons would fear forever, because this means you can't even touch him as long as his mindset is for destruction. And that right there is not something that the demons would like to hear. And that right there is not something the demons truly believe will be anything they can deal with. And Rui is just one singular example that Tanjiro is going to show, an example that that demons and all this and their reign of terror, it's coming to an end. And the reign of terror of Muzan's demons and everything he's created so far comes to an end right here and right now. At least proof of it is shown right here and right now. And as Muzan can sense these things happening, as Muzan's thinking to himself that he doesn't understand how this even occurred, one thing he doesn't understand is that he played with the balance of destruction and creation too much. He got greedy with creating and got greedy with what he wanted. He wanted to live forever. He wanted to be truly immortal. And now, well, let's just say, now it's going to be a reason why his potential end will come sooner rather than later. Now, with all that said, though, he then defeats Rui, defeats the demon that is of the Natagomo Mountain, and eventually would meet up with not only Giyu Tomioka, but with various other demon slayers as well that try to attack and kill Nezuko, his sister demon. But before you know it, before a fight could really break out, Tanjiro would be in place to defend Nezuko, and the crows would tell them to leave Tanjiro and Nezuko unharmed and to allow them to come here on their own their own free will, in which they do just that. They head there and they speak with various Hashira, but the Hashira themselves, some of them, yes, they're against the usage of a demon themselves, but they also know that they need to, well, let's just say, deal with the fact that they don't like it, because Tanjiro has a power that might just be their actual chance to stop everything bad from happening ever again. So when Ubuyashiki would eventually arrive and give the order that they are not to be touched, when finally he would get the order to basically not be hurt, let's just say Tanjiro is absolutely willing to understand and absolutely willing to speak more about his powers and strengths and all this other stuff, in which there's a long conversation that is had about what he can do, about why he could do it, and all this other stuff. Now, in all honesty, does he know what or how he can do it or how he does it or anything like that? Of course not. Like, he genuinely is like, I don't know. But at the same time, he can explain exactly what he does to an extent in terms of like, just abilities and his kind of potential in general. And he explains all this stuff, explains the destruction, and explains what he's read. And there's even more and more journals and books that are actually needed to be read for Tanjiro, and that's so that they can gain more information on his potential and what he does and what his real role here is. And eventually that role is shown, the role of judge, jury, and executioner. Tanjiro is given this opportunity not to be abused in terms of like the usage of slaying demons so willy-nilly, but it's to truly uphold balance. And as long as he upholds balance with the eventual destruction of demons in its entirety, and not kind of like an overtime thing, it seems as if that right there is what needs to be done and is going to be the reason why Tanjiro is the kind of next level and high kind of tier of demon slayer, and he might just be the actual reason why they live to see 100 years from now and are not overtaken by all the demons. But before you know it, he would be done with his rehabilitation training. He'd be doing various different trainings and studies on the idea of this destruction breathing. And it leads him to actually working and training with another Hashira, which they decide to send him on a mission with Inosuke and Zenitsu, believing that, well, if he trains and or kind of sees the POV of a Hashira in a way, and what he's capable of, and what really and truly goes on with being a Hashira, that it will be a good idea for him to actually to learn alongside someone like Rengoku, and learn alongside someone to that level. And that right there is the flat out truth. So Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu would head off to the Mugen Train to actually speak and actually learn from Rengoku. And before you know it, they're there to already be impressed, because Rengoku shows that he is this happy-go-lucky kind of person, but on top of that, he is an absolute bona fide beast of a demon slayer who slays this demon in front of all of them in a matter of seconds. Tanjiro nods his head in acknowledgement of the strength that Rengoku reveals, and he's excited to really kind of see what he can truly do and what Rengoku really brings to the table as a Hashira. And Rengoku himself, he wants to see what Tanjiro brings to the table as well, believing that he might just end up being the best of all of them. But with all that said, that is where we will end, part 1 of 2 of What If Tanjiro Had Destruction Breathing. And as always, if you guys enjoy, please show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. And like I said, we do have plans on doing some Naofumi What Ifs. So if some of you are like, I really want to see Naofumi stuff, 100% that is going to happen. Now, I want to say this, like, with full wholeheartedness on the series of Shield Hero. Season 1 was very good. Season 2, not so much. Season 3 was a little bit better, but I'm not going to lie to you. It still wasn't amazing, in my opinion. And it does suck that it's like that, because some animes, that eventually happens. But I do want to give you guys those what ifs in their entirety. I would love to just stick to season 1 because season 1 was so good and it feels like it's just better content. But I'll try to find a way to make those other 2 seasons, or the other 2 seasons, right? Season 2 and season 3, enjoyable for you guys in a what if format. Now, with all that said, though, I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to just thank you all for all the support and all that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.